This week on Supercars Torque, the Enduro season kicks off with Sandown this weekend. The big news this week is that Nick Percat and Dylan O'Keefe will be debuting a brand new car at Sandown. Well, it is kind of big news. I mean, yeah, MSR, they've only ever had 2 new cars in their career. This is their 3rd one. But yeah, not really that big news. Probably the big news of the week is SP Tools livery will be back. Kicking off this weekend for the Cam car. That's Cam Hill and not McLeod. There's another one. There's Cameron Crick also there in the field. There's Cams everywhere because we've also got Cam Waters. I nearly thought they released this livery with that special t-shirt announcement that they're doing for the weekend, and then I was told no, this livery's been out for a while, not on the actual race car but on a display car, and I couldn't remember the photos, and then yeah, when I found them, I realised why I probably wasn't looking at the car. Anyway, I'm really excited about this. The SP Tool cars always look good. I quite like that livery. Once again, though, I would have done the SP Tools logo a bit bigger on the doors. Obviously, there's reasons why they do it, but that's just my opinion. I would have expanded that a bit bigger. And of course, the other big one is that PremiAir, I think they're going to run this for the rest of the year. It's a very 2008 HRT inspired livery, totally different to what we're used to from them. A bit like Walkinshaws have flipped from the white base livery to a black base livery. It looks like PremiAir have gone from a black base livery to a white base livery. I think this is going to be for the rest of the year, and with kind of Walkinshaw swapping over to the black and a lot of other teams with darker schemes this year, I think these are really going to stand out, especially with that Dayglow red. I really like this one, so yeah, come on Jimmy or Tim, pull your finger out and get a really good result so I can justify buying one of these as a model car. Now, I had also heard there was a couple of other teams looking at running special liveries, but as the way these things go, expect them to be released just after I record, so they'll miss this video. But yeah, other news during the week with liveries, you would have seen the Brad Jones racing cars in different liveries while they were out testing. This wasn't for actual race liveries. They were just doing filming days for the respective sponsors that have been with the teams a long time. Heimgartner was running around in a Dunlop livery and Macaulay Jones was running around in an Automotive Superstore livery. Obviously, filming days and all of that are really hard to come by these days, so they stick the cars up for the testing so that they could get a lot of filming done, because the cars are spending all day on track, so they had a lot of opportunity to film the cars during the day to get footage there for their sponsors, which was a really good thing, and I think we'll probably see a bit more of this in the future. I think a couple of other teams will probably jump on board to offer a bit extra for some of their sponsors. Also, while BJR were out there testing, Bryce Forward had a big stack. Surprisingly, they'd just done, I think, a full brake system change on the car, from what I heard, and he wasn't told to pump the brakes, and yeah, fired it off at turn 3 there at Winton. I was surprised he got through turns 1 and 2 without braking. Maybe he was coming kind of slowly out of the pits and then gunned it going through the chicane, but if he was going flat chat out of the pits into turn 1, man, that Middy's car must have some grip to get through that kind of chicane without having to touch the brakes. The other little topic before we get onto the racing for the weekend, that really probably not such a little topic. It's blown up all of a sudden. I didn't even realise this was a thing until just recently, but driver weights in the cars. So the rule is that the car has to weigh 1340 kilos, including the driver, with his helmet, suit, boots, gloves, you know, cool suit, etc. So it's not an issue during the normal season because they're all weighted up to the same level. But during the Enduros, you have obviously 2 different drivers in the car. So the 1340 kilos then is based off the main driver in the car, so essentially the guy who's been driving it all season. Now, all of a sudden this has come up, which I'm surprised more people weren't talking about this last year, and it's only just kind of come up as a news thing. So if you've got a main driver that's quite large, say Brodie Kostecki or Shane Van Gisbergen, and they've got a co-driver that's relatively a lot smaller, say David Russell or Richie Stanaway, for example, this could be a big difference in the weight when the co-driver's running around. Obviously, the main drivers, it doesn't make a difference, but might explain some of the standout drives from a few co-drivers over the last few years, where they've been, some people are saying that up to, I think it was 35 kilos difference between one pairing. And apparently under the calculations, that could mean up to 6 seconds difference in a co-driver stint, like over a stint at Bathurst. So if you say, 2 to 3 stints during the day, depending on even, if you're looking at the 54 laps, 30 laps in a stint kind of thing, you're looking at maybe 12 seconds difference, which when the race is coming down to, basically nothing, if you've got that advantage to then hand over to your main driver, big advantage in the race. Right now, I'm just looking at you, Chaz Mostert and Lee Holdsworth. There's got to be a big difference in weight between the two of them, just from the size difference there is outstanding. I don't know how to fix this problem though, because obviously you don't want to kind of affect what the main driver does during the race, but then do we end up finding that, really small guys all of a sudden are really good co-drivers because then they can run lighter in their stints. Apparently it won't make as much of a difference at Sandown, the way the track is. Obviously Bathurst with the big hills, carrying less weight makes a big difference carrying up the hill, whereas Sandown is a little bit different. So, but there still will be a little bit of a difference there in performance because of the different weights. Now we have got a big race this weekend. So the format for the weekend, lots and lots of practice, unsurprisingly, in this practice championship that we have. Friday, there will be 3 30-minute practice sessions. One of those sessions will be co-driver only. On Saturday, there's 2 40-minute practice sessions, 20 minutes qualifying, and then the top 10 shootout. Sunday, we'll see a 20-minute warm-up, and then, of course, the 500-kilometre race. Going off the form guide, Triple Eight are going to wipe the floor with everyone. Of course, it's that simple. Maybe not this year, as we've seen, some people are getting more on top of their Gen 3 cars, and it's been quite different over the last few rounds. It hasn't just been a Triple Eight walk up and win. Obviously last year we had the whole Erebus doing really well thing. But anyway, the big thing, I think, as I discussed with Jack Perkins the other day, the stint lengths, they're not going to be a full stint. So you're more than likely going to have a situation where the co-driver will have to do more than their minimum amount of laps for the day. So they could be doing, if you're getting 40 laps out of a tank of fuel, you could be looking at, kind of doing a stint with the main driver up to lap. If it all goes green, lap 40, your main driver, then drop in your co-driver, and then they end up doing 2 40-lap stints in the middle of the race, and then you drop your main driver in to do the 40 laps to the end of the race. Obviously an extra lap in there because 161 laps. But yeah, that's it if it is broken up evenly during the day, no kind of safety cars. Of course, this is an endurance race. There's chances are there is going to be a safety car. So I think what will happen is if there's an early safety car, because the main drivers have to start now, that it will be swap over the co-driver, get the co-driver laps out of the way as quick as possible. If there's another safety car, once they've done their minimum amount of laps, get the main driver in and off you go. But having said that, the level of the drivers is getting better and better and better every year. So I think this year it will really, really come down to if you can strategize where you can have your co-driver in and competitive against the main drivers, so you're not so worried about having to get minimum laps out of the way. So you might have a situation where the co-driver ends up, kind of doing 2 full stints, so they end up doing about half of the race. So My tips for this week, this is a long way of getting around to my tips for the weekend. So my tips are, unsurprisingly, the two AAA cars. I mean, you got Scott Pye and Jamie Whincup in there. Jamie is an absolute gun around Sandown. Bathurst, different matter. He seems to, fall apart there. But at Sandown, he's an absolute gun. They will no problem be on the pace. Then, of course, Mostert and Holdsworth. Obviously, they're going to have a big advantage because of the weight difference. Matty Payne and Garth Tander. I mean, Tander, he's going to be able to, as long as the Groves turn up with a good weapon, which they've been a little bit on and off over the last few rounds, but if they turn up, no problem. Tander will be able to run with whoever out there. And then, bit of a dark horse, depending what they turn up with. But, of course, Brodie Kostecki and Todd Hazelwood. Todd did an exceptional job at the start of the year. Now, when we look like with Brodie coming into that team, it's not... Todd was doing an exceptional job running around, kind of Jack LeBrock territory at the start of the year. So they're my tips. If it rains, which at the moment the forecast is saying it's going to be fine for the weekend, but if it rains, then of course that opens up a whole can of worms. I'm going to tip Heimgartner. He's there with Declan Fraser. Of course, Fraser not long out of a main game drive, and Heimgartner ballistic in the wet. And then, of course, Richie Stanaway in the wet. He's got Dale Wood co-driving with him. Dale always turns it on for the endurance races. He just turns up each year and does a brilliant job. And Richie in the rain at Sandown, he's going to be as fast as anyone. So if the weather does change, they're my two kind of tips under that. But I think those five cars that I mentioned before, I think they're going to be the ones battling for the win. Now, of course, this is also a Super 2 round. So as what tradition this year, I've had a chat with Campbell Logan and Brad Vaughan about their upcoming weekend, which is especially special for Brad Vaughan because he will be making his main game debut with Matt Chahda Motorsports. So once again, after a very long break, it feels like we haven't spoken in ages or months, you might even say. We've got Campbell Logan back on for a preview of the upcoming Sandown round, which you were quite successful there in the 86s last year.
Yeah, it was a very good round for me. I put it P3 in qualifying and then finished fourth in race one and then backed it up with 2 race wins. So, and actually walked away with the championship lead going into the last round. So, yeah, it's a very strong place for me historically. I've only raced there twice, but it's by far my favourite track.
So we can expect same results this weekend?
Hey, if I could get back in the top 5, I'd be pretty stoked, but we'll see. It'll be pretty different driving a supercar around there versus an 86 like it has been the whole year for me, but it's nice rolling back into a track you've got a bit of success at. Pretty similar for me with Townsville, I've won there previously in 86. It's a track that I enjoy a lot. So, yeah, hopefully just able to sort of pick up where I left off. That'd be pretty cool.
And I suppose you don't have the competition of Jack Perkins at the moment.
Yeah, that's interesting and sort of sad to see. I say sort of because he won the last round, so it's obviously nice to have someone that's fast not on the grid, if you know what I mean, in the nicest possible way. But a bit of a shame to not have Jack on the grid because you always want to, I strive to beat the best on track. So to not have the previous round win is a bit of a disappointment, but it is what it is.
So what have you been up to over the break other than becoming a mini celebrity during the telecast at Simmons?
I was hoping too many people didn't see that. Thanks to Chad Nailon for that. It was actually, Chad's a really nice guy, so it was cool to get a little feature during the weekend. But not a whole lot's been going on. I've been able to have a little bit of seat time, which has been cool. We did a ride day at Sydney, which I know you're not. It's not a test day, and you're not going flat out, and it's not on the proper track. But still, good to get a bit of bum and seat time. Take some of the sponsors around. That was a pretty cool day, and then had another test day at the Bend on the West Circuit, which was pretty cool. I thought that was one of the coolest circuits I've actually driven, to be honest. It's better than the international, the normal layout. So I think it just suits the supercar, to be honest, and it was just a lot of fun to drive. So that was pretty cool. That was a month ago now.
Is that the shortest circuit that they ran in one of the COVID rounds? Yeah.
Yep, is. So you go through the fast left-hander at turn 5, and then instead of going to the left, you keep going straight and turn right. So, I actually thought it was really, really cool. Like, it took the cool parts of the bend and the parts I find a little bit not that fun out of it, and added a few couple corners. So, no, I thought that was really cool. And then, yeah, got to hang out with the team at Simmons Plains over the weekend, which is obviously home round for me. It's only 2 hours from where I live. So, yeah, it was cool to
Yep.
spend the weekend with the team, have the headset on and sit in pre-brief and debrief and learn heaps off Chaz and Woody and the rest of the team, all the engineers.
Just on the Sydney ride day thing. So that was after the proper round, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So do they then you take up your transporter as well and just have that sat for the weekend, essentially waiting for the ride day
Not for
on the
the
Monday?
weekend waiting. So Starry, who's he has many roles in our team. He's Zach's
Yep.
engineer, he's team manager, but he's also our truck driver. He's an absolute legend.
Okay.
He headed up on Sunday morning, I think, and drove up. So he took our
Okay.
whole Super 2 transporter up. So Zach's car
Yep.
also did rides. He's a Canberra boy, so he's got heaps of Sydney-based sponsors. So it's a big day for him. But
Yep.
yeah, becomes quite busy with all the Gen 3 cars and you're out there with them on track. We were the only two Super 2 cars doing the ride day, so it was pretty busy. It was actually quite funny. I didn't realize at the time, but I had the David Reynolds car following me and they were following me really, really closely. I thought, like, well, okay, like this is pretty close. And then I started getting the lights flashing. I'm like, is Luffy driving this thing? Like, is it Luffy out there? It turns out it was. So he spent the whole hot lap behind me just flashing his lights, which was pretty funny.
So what's the plan for this weekend? Have you got any specific aims, or as you said, just to hopefully finish in the top five again?
No sort of specific goals. I mean, obviously Townsville was a really strong round for me and I was, consistently fast across both qualifyings and the one race I got to do. So ideally I'd like to pick up where I finished at Townsville right from practice one and just be able to build through the weekend. Obviously it's going to be a little bit different driving the supercar around there versus the Toyota 86, but I think I should be able to get up to speed in practice one. I'm feeling a lot more confident in the car now and having that more seat time. Even, going to test at the bend, I was sort of able to pick up where I left off at Townsville. So, yeah, just got a nice feeling with the car now and I sort of know what to expect when I go out on track. So just a little bit more confidence and, yeah, hopefully if I can stay around that top five, I'd be really stoked. But, yeah, it's just about learning and keep building throughout the year for me. So, yeah, it's just another round to keep my learning experience going and see where we can end up.
And the last couple of opportunities to beat a couple of the guys who have already confirmed main game seats for next year.
Yeah, that's a nice sort of confidence boost when you see, and rightly so, that they've ended up in main game. They've been consistently performing at the front of Super 2 for a couple of years. So, yeah, that's a nice feeling when you can say I've beaten those guys. I've only, beat them once. So for me, it's important to keep trying to beat those guys. I really want to be at the front of the field. That's why I race. I want to win and I want to beat everyone that I'm racing against. So, yeah, I don't really have any specific goals for the weekend. It's more so just about trying to, where I finished at Townsville, start there for the weekend and then hopefully build through the weekend and who knows what could come.
Sounds good. And any predictions for the big race?
I have one strong prediction. I think that both WAU cars will be in the top five in quali and that Chaz will be on the podium. I don't know if he'll win. I think it's a little too hard to call. I think everyone's just so close now. Like, you really don't know rolling into the weekend if it's going to be, well, now you got Percat, Waters, Feeney, Brown, Chaz. Like, it could be anyone out there. Even, Kostecki's starting to come on strong at the moment.
Yeah.
So who knows what could happen. And obviously it's a massive race. So anything could happen with strategy.
Yeah, and I think especially after Townsville, Tasmania, that has traditionally been Triple Eight just dominated down there. That previously you would have said, okay, they're going to roll into Sandown and finish 1, 2, 3. Whereas this year now it's a lot more open.
Yeah, 100%. Even everyone was talking about how Triple Eight's always dominated Townsville. They were not that competitive at Townsville. So yeah, you really don't know. I think it's just everyone's so close now with the Gen 3. Obviously the cars are the same and the parity is pretty good. So I think it's really just comes down to whoever rolls out with the best package and then just keeps working through that throughout the weekend, which I think is a real strength of WAU. I think they can roll out with a nice package and they're able to keep building throughout the weekend. Even if they roll out with a maybe not so good package on Friday, they're usually there come Saturday for practice, for qualifying. So, yeah, hopefully they can. I'd love to see a WAU win. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to see it as well, just to open up the championship a bit more.
Yeah, I really want Chaz to win the championship. So hopefully Will Brown has a stinker and Chaz goes well.
All right. Well, all the best for the weekend, and we'll actually get to catch up in person over the weekend as well.
Yeah,
So
sounds
I'm
great.
looking
It will
forward
be
to
our
that.
1 year anniversary of meeting each other.
Yeah, perfect. All right. All the best, and we'll see you then.
Thanks for having me on. Cheers.
So once again, we've got Brad Vaughan online to chat with us. I suppose the big thing is the car below the main game. Your debut this weekend. Excited?
Yeah, hugely excited. How could you not be? So, yeah, double duties for me with Super
Yep.
2 and the main game. So it'll be a busy weekend, but yeah, looking forward to it. Lots of laps and yeah, my series debut in the Supercars Championship.
Yeah. Do you think you'll have any trouble jumping between the two cars over the weekend?
It's going to be tough. There's no doubt about
Yep.
that. They are quite different. Just obviously you got nowhere near as much aero. The fly-by-wire throttle. There's a lot of ergonomically feels very different. It's a lot lower in the cars. There's lots of things, but I think the fact that the main game are on the super soft tyre probably makes up for the lack of aero. I'm hoping.
Yep.
Versus the Super 2, which is on the hard tyre. So
Yep.
hopefully not too different. Bathurst will be very different, but
Yeah.
Sandown's hopefully not too bad.
Have you been doing a lot of driver swap training, like jumping in and out of the car?
Yeah, driver changes. We've been doing. Obviously, we've had two quite successful test days
Yep.
at Winton leading up. So plenty of driver change practice there. There'll be pit stop practice across the weekend as well at Sandown. So the times seem pretty good. There's always a bit of talk up and down the paddock of who's doing what driver changes in how many seconds. So that's all coming along well, really.
You'd still be fairly covered by the fuel flow on the driver stop, so wouldn't you? Even with the increased.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and that's what makes the time. There's no need to rush the driver change really. When you hear of people doing some pretty quick driver changes, there's actually really no point because most of the time you're covered by fuel, and you've got more than enough time. Even if you made a mistake or something, you're still covered by fuel. So you try and get them as quick as you can, but in the end of the day, it's really actually not that important.
So the big question: who's starting the race? You or Matt?
Yeah, so the rules new this year states that the main driver must start the race for both Sandown and Bathurst. So Matt is nominated as the main driver, so he will start.
Okay.
But
Yep.
everything outside of that, qualifying, race strategy, all that stuff, we can do what we like.
So you guys, you could nearly use that to a strategic advantage.
100%. Typically, when you look at Sandown last year, they started the co-driver and then the main driver finishes.
Yeah.
There's only one driver change in the middle. So now with the main driver starting, you'll probably change it up. There'll probably be two driver changes throughout the race. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. Changes up a bit. So it might help us.
How do you think you're going to go over in Super 2 over the weekend?
Hopes are high for Super 2, really. It has been all year. Some rounds haven't gone quite the way I've wanted it to. But Sandown were very fast last year. We're no doubt that the car will be just as quick again this year. So it's just about putting it together, limiting mistakes, and half the time if you do those things, you're in for a pretty good shot.
And I saw you driving something quite different at the Bend the other weekend. So you haven't just been sat around doing nothing over the break.
No, I've been home for about 3 days in the last 3 weeks. So between testing with the main game and the Super 2 car, been racing in the Hyper Racer category, which is the Australian Drivers' Championship there at Tailem Bend, which I won a race. That was awesome. Open wheel cars, heaps of fun, and seriously quick lap times. And then been doing some saloon car racing, did that at Sandown. Just been trying to keep busy. Seat time is so important. So hopefully that puts me in good stead for Sandown.
And we all just think that you sit around, playing Xbox or something while you're on holidays.
Yeah, well, that thing over there, we do plenty of laps in that. That's my sim. Obviously, I'm that quite often, but it's not really an Xbox game. But yeah, there's always something to do in the end of the day, whether you're driving other classes, whether you're training, whether you're in the workshop. There's always something to do.
Yeah. And currently at the moment, the main game car back on that, no sponsor on it. So if anyone wants to jump on board for the weekend, give you a call.
Absolutely, yep. Get in contact. We are looking for a sponsor, a naming rights sponsor for our Chahda wildcard. So yeah, hopefully something comes about in the next couple of days. I'm sure something will. So yeah, stay tuned, I guess.
It does look pretty cool in plain black though.
It gives me Zach Best vibes of when that wild card came out in the plain black and ran really successful. So if we could be as good as that, I'd be pretty happy.
Well, then we expect you to get some special tyres and whack it on pole.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say too much about that, but it definitely looked cool. I remember being at Tail and Bend when it was actually my engineer, a lot of the Super 2 crew who ran that car. So it does look good in the black, but obviously it'd look a hell of a lot better in a sparkling fancy livery.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to ask you about, the big story this week, obviously, is the driver weights that have come out.
Yeah.
How different are you guys?
Yep. I don't think it's really been an issue until a few people have brought it up in certain podcasts and that. So, that's definitely, I'm sure that factored into Chahda's decision on getting me in the car, because I'm probably one of the lightest Super 2 drivers there is. So, I don't know, it's only a good thing for me, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if the rule stays the same, it could put you in really good stead for next year as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Obviously, it depends, how much ballast your main driver is carrying on how much it, affects the co-driver. But I'm just one race at a time, and Sandown's first. And hopefully we have a good weekend, and a bit of ballast that I'm not carrying might help.
Well, all the best for the weekend. I can't wait to see you make your main game debut. And let's hope it's a good one.
Let's hope so too. Fingers crossed.
Once again, a massive shout out to the Super 2 boys for spending their time and, having me hassle them quite regularly over the year. But I really do appreciate it. They don't have to do this, but they do it out of the goodness of their hearts. And of course, as well, massive thank you to Jack Perkins for the other day. It's outstanding. A fan like me gets to interview guys who are actually racing cars. So I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Anyway, down in the comments, let me know how you think or who you're predicting for the win over the weekend. Do you agree with me, or have I missed someone who, I mean, there's so many combinations in the field that could actually win. You nearly, there's probably only a couple that you look at that on their day, okay, they're not going to win. But yeah, there's a lot of combinations that could spring a surprise, especially if the weather plays a part. Anyway, I will be at Sandown on the weekend. So as I said, if you do see me around and you want to give me some feedback or whatever, come and say hi. Love to have a chat. But anyway, until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later. So late news just came in after recording, so I wanted to include it because it is big news. Jack Perkins has been awarded dispensation to race in Super 2 over the weekend, so we will get to see that retro-inspired livery on the Blanchard Mustang over the weekend, which I'm really excited about. And good luck over the weekend, Jack. Enjoy your double duties.